I think we're live. I think that's it, man.
Here we go.
Got it. Cool. All right. Hello, everybody. See if I can get it on. I might have to share the link. Hold on real quick. There's a way to push this all out. I just don't know. Yeah, we're live. I'm looking at it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this link.
Yeah, it's okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
How do I share?
Yeah. There you go. I see you, man. Live.
I see you too. Here we go. Copy link. Paste it. Done. Go to here. We'll get this tech figured out one of these days. There's a way to make it not so one-on-one beginner. I can't tweet this out. Hold on.
What are you trying to do, bud?
Tweet out the
got it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
On the Jedioshi Twitter. We are love. Done. It's sloppy, but it works. There's a much better way to do this. One of these days we'll figure this out. All right, man. All right, everybody, welcome in. And this is the live stream for this is Wednesday, the 22nd, almost Christmas, 3 days away, starting the countdown. Ramboshi here. We have Bravo with us today, bro. Live stream Wednesday. Bravo, what's going on today, man?
There's a lot going on, man. But I'm just happy to sit here and chat about it.
Good. Let's look at what are we looking at, man? Can you see my screen first of all? Yeah, I think so. I think it works. Cool.
Yeah, man, you're good.
Sweet. Live chat. I'm gonna hold the chat. All right. The Qs are in here. Hey. Oh, hey guys, what's going on? Yeah. Cool. I know the Qs. All right. So let's cover some market update today. So what are we seeing, man? Did the update for today? This is what, day 30 something into our correction period since we kind of came off this ledge here. Higher high, lower RSI, broke that down. We are seeing a little bit of strength here. We did come out of this flag with a nice daily, closed above it, closed outside of it, looking for continuation, right? Looking for the bulls to take it or rejection. So we'll see. We are not, and we talked about this before there, Bravo, but when I chart this on my phone, it looks like the line is a lot closer. So I'm not sure if it's an aspect ratio thing or what. But anyways, this is Bitfinex. It's the same as on the phone app. But one way or the other, once we get out of here and kind of establish trend, I'll be able to call green market signal, bulls in control, and all that. But until we do, we are seeing some opportunities, I think, in some of the alts that we were looking at yesterday and day before. But because some of those chart setups are pretty good, but really until we get out of here, we're fully not, we're just not bulls in control yet. So we'll see what happens, but we are seeing some good divergence here on the daily. That RSI until, this is today's candle. So it moves around quite a bit, but at one point it was above 50 and that's nice. Nice to see that we were able to climb up above it. So we'll see what happens. This very well may come back to test the backside of this line. And then turn around, we'll have to see. Or it may,
I would expect that, yeah.
Right. Or it may just sell off and then come out or something. I don't know. That might be crazy. The fact that we came out of this channel with, I think, some good velocity was positive for the bulls, because we're looking at this being either a continuation pattern, breakdown, maybe, or a reversal pattern where you kind of break out that way. And we came out topside. So that was good to see. And let's see. Hey, CM's here. Hey, and Bravo. Hey, I see you in there. Sweet. 3 people, including me. Awesome. Give myself a like.
Yeah, start somewhere.
I know.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Live streaming is so cool. I know our tech is terrible, but we'll get there. Let's zoom in and look at the hourly real quick before we kind of move on to some other stuff that we want to talk about. But yeah, I showed you this. Bravo. Just low time frame stuff. We got a little fake out here.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's low time frame. I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised if this comes back down here and then we come up like that and break it and go. You know, and we're kind of hanging out up here. And, you know, yes, this is 1 hour. You can say, oh, we broke a trend, whatever. Like, yeah, maybe. But again, there is a larger feature in play, which is that trend line, right? So do we just come down here and one of those, or we'll see. We're just chopping around.
Yeah.
Looking at equities had some strength today, continued from yesterday. We bounced off that larger line, and we've had bulls running in equities for 2 days. So will that translate over here? For me, I wonder, honestly, man, if we may just blow these off and maybe equities get a blow off top and then Bitcoin gets a retrace, kind of a second oomph on even maybe lower, or there is a case where we do make a new high. We haven't shown that a lot, man, in our work, right? Because that's not like, that might be like scenario D or something. Like there is a scenario where we just go up and make a new high from here. So we're watching, but I think for me, that requires you first going to the 702 to retrace.
Definitely. If we could break the 702 and then maybe break over the 786, then maybe, you know, at that point, I think you've got to consider that the trend continues, but there's a pretty good case to be made that the top's in. So, I mean, I'm willing to sit and listen to any case about this, but for my money and the amount of time I've spent looking at it, that's just how I'm proceeding, as if the top's in.
Yeah. And really, I see a lot of, you know, and even some of the comments and such, and even our Telegram, right, are like, hey, what about this? What about that? But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I let the charts tell me what to do. Right. Like if the charts say, you know, bulls are in control, it's long, then it's time to be long and to make money. And then if it turns around, the charts start breaking down, the bears are in control, then it's time to be safe and on the side.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to do was obviously the quick market update here. And then we had some ideas. Let's look at some fibs, because I know a lot of people were asking about fibs. So let's look at, I wanted to look at mana. Excuse me. Mana. And we did this before in a previous video, but let's look at, was it weekly? Weekly. Let's look at
yeah, that gives you a nice view of the grand structure.
So I think this is all the chart. We'll look at Bitcoin next, sort of a cycle look at fibs, but how I would use the fib tool here is I would say, okay, this is weekly. So this is from April 21. And I don't know if there may be another exchange with more data. I think there is, but let's just roll with this for now. Like I know that price action moved from this high point here at $1.60 all the way down to 37 cents or so. So for me, I want to know, after this point, how much further have we climbed out in relation to this first range? And that's really what Fibonacci's do, is they give you the math or the ratio of extensions or retracements given the first range. So let's just, even before I talk about that mana, if I just draw this fib here. Okay, the way I look at it is, okay, I have a range of data, and that's 100% of the range. That's the bottom of the range. So 100% of the range is in this area. If I climb back to here, I am 50% of the way back from the range. Obviously, the range high and low. I climb back to the 0.5, that's 50%. If I go back to the 1, now I am at the 100% of the bottom to top. Now, if I go to the 1618, that is 162-ish% of the range from here to here. And it all has to do with, you know, Fibonacci and the sequence and the golden ratio of 618 and how you find it in nature and human behavior and everything else. But basically and essentially, what a fib tool allows you to do is to measure and sometimes project certain levels, like on when you use it as an extension tool, you say, okay, my top was here, my bottom was here. If we get out to that level, this price level, then I have come out to the 4236. And you use this fib tool as an extension when, because you'd have to know that like 4236 is a pretty common cycle top level. And there are some others in there, but you see 4236 very often from a cycle perspective. So that's that. But again, let's just drop it now and you go back to mana. It's okay. I'm going to apply this fib tool on mana. So I start with the top and I draw it back to the bottom. So 100%, I want to look at this cycle in here. And I say, okay, this is interesting. Really interesting. It is. So initially had the initial drop and then came up, and the way you tell the story is, hey, we came back to around the 0.5 and then we came back to around the 236 and then we blasted off to the moon and we shot right through these fib levels up to the 3618, down to the 1618, and then back up to the 4236, pierced the 4236, and then came down. So if somebody's like, hey, what do you think about mana? Right, Bravo, like, what do you think about what do you like? How would you describe this chart? Yeah, just what do you think about mana? Would you buy mana right here?
Well, if I was just to look at this chart as it's played out currently, this is something that I'd be selling off, and I would have tried to have sold, previous to this, because it appears to me like a complete cycle is done. And look, if this thing does an ABC at this point and you get a retracement, that, and we can go into this. We can go into this later, but if you want to, that's the next way to use this tool, right? Is on corrections. And so like you take the top,
say you come down to like boom, 2272 holds us, and we go for another run. You say, oh, okay, there's the 8, then they're 13, then the 21, 25, and there are levels above here. But sometimes you say, okay, I take this 4236, maybe even go double that, and then up to here. But look, here's as it applies to trading, and I think this is what you were kind of getting there, Bravo. But let's say we do put another leg up and this runs. Because, I mean, if you're an LA wave guy or whatever, you're like, there's 1, 2, 3, this is just 4, we're going in for another one. All right, let's just say we do that up to the 8. It's 2x. You're in it for 2x, going for the 8 fib.
Yeah.
So you have to realize, like, that's when you buy something that's already cycled up here and you take a trade and you make an entry at around this level, your percents are limited to the next level up. Right. When you say, whoa, no, we're going to the 25 or whatever. And maybe. Right. That's an 8x. Well, but and there's two things when you study charts, when you study charts and cycles, you realize that 25 is pretty rare. Right? What do you think, Bravo?
Super rare. So like I think a lot in relation to the tool, I think it's important for people to know that the 4.236 is not a magical number. It just happens to be where a lot of the cycles end. You get these grand cycles and they reach out to a 4236, and that's where they end. And then they go into a bear market. Not all, of course, but many. And so a lot of traders, and even like human and bot traders, are using these fib extensions, especially like the 4236, as pivot points. And so if you see an asset approaching a key level, this is where you're probably going to get price action. You're either going to get sell-offs or you're going to get buy-ins. And that's why some people trade specifically using fibs. And you're just doing swing trades based on the fib retracements, especially on these bigger scale, like what you're showing here. But you can use the fib tool on intraday action all the time too. And so, I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but
no, I've even believe it or not.
I would say,
yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, if you get to another way to look at this is, so you get a full 4.236 extension, and then, you start to see this big correction. Well, instead of just letting that correction dump and then you panic and you sell the bottom, understanding a little bit about a chart and knowing that you're probably going to get a bounce back. If you just put a fib on the top of that at the end of the cycle and run it down to the bottom of the correction, more times than not, you're going to see a bounce back to the 0.5 or the 0.702, depending on what market you're in. But the point is, you can have another point to sell out. If you miss the ultimate top, another point to get out would be, 0.5 or 0.702 based on that top.
Right. So this is like, this is like a mana cycle. Let's look at Bitcoin because there's a lot more chart that we can look at in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I want to show, let's show some things. I think we're going to use, this should be Bitfinex. So this is the weekly, but let's go back in time to, I don't know how much data this has, but I think it goes back to 2013. So here's a cycle, right? Let's look at this. 2014, 2015, 16, 17, into the 2017 top. Where was that on the extension? It's a great thing to look at. If I pick it there. Well, if I take the wick low, well, there's a wick down there, but whatever. Like if I don't know how people do this. Do they take the body? That's up there, man. Look at that. If that's up at a 13 and 21. I was looking for the one where it's so that's how I do it, right? Like you take a cycle, and then you look at your levels, and look, there's a 4, 2, 3, 6. It did bounce back, and then it ran above that to 13. Wow, I hadn't done that in a long time.
I think it's different on other charts. I think Bitfinex is showing way more data. I don't think it actually reached out that far.
I don't think so either. I think I have Coinbase up here too. This is
if you were just to use like CoinTrader Pro, I think you'd get a better sense for how far extended. I think it extended just slightly above the 4236.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's how you use the tool, and you look at cycles and you say, okay, we're up from the previous cycle high, cycle low, or my time period that I'm looking at, high and low. Then you say high point is 1, low point is 0, and then it just does the math for you, basically. Like this 0 to 1, the 2 is just 2 times the 1. And you can look at the numbers and do the math to yourself, but this allows you to, easily just do the math. I know a lot of people that just do it in their head, right? Like 60% from this to this is about that, so that's about my 618, on the retrace or something. But so while we're here on Bitstamp, let's look at we always go back to, and I'll clear this, but let's look at using it as a corrective tool. So when you do that's an extension, you're projecting up. So if I come out of this, like here, if I come out of this in the cycle, we've hit above from the previous cycle, we're above the 3618 here. All right. So, okay. And then, one of the things that we always go back to is in these corrections. No, that's not it. This is okay. That's why this is messing with my head, because it's weekly. If I go back to, I'm not used to staring at so many weekly charts lately, but I have this first. This is the magical 702 number that we always hear about, that we got from one of our favorites. But if you go back to this top in December 17 and look at that first drop down as its big, post cycle market correction. It's a drop. You have retrace back up, another kick down, and then you run up to this magical 702. And what you hear about the 702 is it's more used, in my opinion, as sort of a go, no go correction. So if you come out of a correction and you can't make it back through the 702, and 702 is more used in crypto than equities. I've seen a lot more equities that honor the 618 and not 702. But in crypto, the 702 is used. It's more of like kind of a push above, especially because if you look at this market, it's so much bullish momentum. It just got stopped, and then the bulls kept trying to roll hard, trying to roll back through to go, go again. And they pushed it beyond the 618 to the 702, and then boom, back down. So the 702 reference is usually a corrective retracement level where you're trying to get back through this level, and it's a go, no go. So if you can break through the 702, then the chances are that a new all-time high is more likely. If you get rejected on the 702, then that's kind of what we're looking for. That's a typical sign that the market top is a top and the top is in. So if we go to the current, right? If we go to the current price action, and what we're looking at, what we're expecting is okay, if this, let's just assume it's a top. Let's assume the top's in. If that's true, now we trade what the chart tells us to do, right? So that doesn't, it's a little different than whether or not the top's in, all that stuff, whatever. It matters, but the chart will tell you what to do when you trade. But yeah, so if we, let's just say we are able to get out of this, right? From here, let's just say this is it. We came out of the flag. We're bullish. We're going up. Didn't draw that right, but whatever. Like that, right? And like that. Okay. Let's say this does just kind of rattle around in here a little bit and then pop. So what we are expecting is a move that's, going to show the bulls will carry us up, but to be very cautious, especially when we get up to these levels. Be very cautious, because if we get rejected, then it signals an even deeper correction is coming, or it could come. But if we break through, let's say we do that and 702 becomes a support level, then you can go again. Right? So it's just something to be very, and then just you got to watch the charts for breakdowns and etc. But I would just not be surprised if you come back to that 702, get rejected, and you fall. And that would signal, yes, this was a top. This was a top, at least for, a major wave, right? Could be cycle ending, could also be major wave 3, going into a long wave 4, but that, Bravo, can you think of anything else on the fib tool that I'm missing? Let's see.
People might want to know why you can flip it over, and what is the significance of flipping the numbers over. And I think that's, you would want to flip that over. If you want to explain that, go ahead. But it gets a little bit tricky. And I would say to start using the fib tool, I would say use it as you're explaining it right now. But you can flip it so that you can measure the trend movements on either an uptrend or downtrend, the retracement. And so that, if you want to explain that, I think that would be the only other thing.
So let's look at it. So it's, for me, I would use that as a projection downwards.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like you're just trying to shine the headlights into some space that you're, whoops, I drew it backwards. Like some space that you're going into. So I usually, I'm not that versed in this, but for me, and this is interesting, I guess. I've never really done this. I haven't done this live, but let's just take this body right here. ABC, boom. Then you get this, but then you're like, okay, if this is more of a top and I need to project downward, this is interesting to me. This data right here, 1618, right? Like we break that, my next downside level might be this. But again, I'm looking from this point, trying to find levels beneath me. So
I can,
you've done a lot more research on this.
Well, I can show a real quick thing if you want to send it over here.
Okay. Are you sharing right now?
What I'm talking about. I'll share it whenever you enable.
Okay, should be good.
Let me know when you see it. Can you see it?
Yep, got it. Yep.
So I think the point is, when you flip the fib tool over, right, like you can go one way or the other way. So the way we're explaining it is we're showing it from the top of a cycle down and showing the retracements back up into the fib tool. But let's just say you're in a bull run, right? And you want to measure, you see a nice move up, and you're looking for, like, you missed this run up, but you're looking for another entry point. What you can do is you can drop this where the run started, come up to the cycle top, and now.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It depends on what market you're in. But in crypto, sometimes you get this one happened to retrace down to the 0.5 before it started off again, this would be an excellent area to get into, especially because you have 1-2 hits on the 0.5. And there's probably some other levels in there that you need to pay attention to. But like in equities or something else, typically when you see a cut down on an uptrend, the 618 is the more important number. But I've seen this now touch the 702 many times in crypto before it goes on.
Yeah.
In a positive trend. And so if it's in a negative trend, you would just flip it over and you're doing the same thing. Just what you explained.
Right.
All right. So
it's all just math, man. Right. Like,
yeah,
it's just like you're just calculating the distance from one point to the other. And then along the way, you're either halfway through or 61.8% through or whatever. Yep. So it's either a projection or like you did, like a retracement back. And it is classically, it is called a fib retracement tool, right? So it's like more often than not, like the traditional way to use it is as a retracement tool. So what would that mean? Like here.
Yeah, not necessarily like a projection.
Right. Yeah, if we're trading this range, and I don't normally use it like this, but let's do it. Okay, so the top was here, whatever. And you fell down here and then you pegged your bottom. So you say, okay, there, I'm there. You say, okay, now as we advance, we have to get through these levels again, right? So like, and I don't even think I'm using it correctly, but because I'm not inverted it, I didn't invert it, but boom, 382, 236, 618, got rejected, 382, back up, here we go. And so just watching these levels, but like you did, like you showed it. Yeah. You know, that's the other way to do it is basically come up here to your top from your kind of your other entry, your other point in here. You can say, look, this whole run, I've now retraced 50% of it. But if this run, let's just say, like we go do it on SHIB right now, for that second run to 8,800, you retraced 100% of it. Because you retraced, like this is 23.6% of it. This is 50% of the range.
That's right.
70% of the range, 100% of the range. So it's just what percent of this range am I? And that's about it. There's no real magic there's no real magic to it. You're just trying to figure out like, hey, if we range, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's important to note that there are bots and traders that hit those specific areas as areas for entry or short, right? To buy or to short. That's why it's important to know them.
Absolutely. And what was the one we were looking at that like just pegged the? I mean, let's look at CRV just real quick. I'm just curious. So this is more classically how I use it, but this is CRV daily. This is why I do like this chart. Is because like, for example, with Luna, you're just way up. We're gonna look at Luna next. Let's compare these two. And I think I sent this to you this morning or last night or whatever. But it's like, look, even if we come, so if you draw this, and this is a big wick, and let's just do the weekly because that's what we were looking at before. But the weekly has a big old wick on it, right? It's like, okay, I mean, like, yeah, that's price. There is trading action up here, right? That is data to honor. But even if you drop it down to here, you know, even from where we are, from call that the bottom, or even if you want to take the body, it doesn't really matter that much because you're just trying to get, you know, you're looking at where you are in this old range of data and where have we traded before. And then, you know, for me, while I like this chart so much, is that I'm seeing strength, and now you're clearing like weekly pivots here. And it sits in a nice spot of the fib where I can see, or I feel better with having capital at risk that we have more room to run here to the upside than some other assets like Luna. And we'll take a look at that. But so classically how I use the fib tool is I scroll around and I look at charts. I try to get some original data, and then I plant my 1 and my 0. And then I look ahead and I say, okay, well, what is current price to the 1? If I'm using the body and not the wick, that's a 1.7x. Nice. Okay. But if I take that, or, you know, if you honor that, then, okay, what is from here to that level it's a 10x. So we just looked at mana, maybe doing a wave 5 to the 25 fib that was like I don't know how many x that was, but right here is a 10x to the old 2x. Top. It was 2x.
Yeah,
that's why I like this. I like this for a lot of reasons, right? Like we've got that poking out, my RSI love that I have. Like Seeing some renewed strength here. We're clearing this level. It just sets up. It just, to me, sets up really nicely. And then you get into like the fundamental reasons why CRE is great, all that stuff. But let's look at Luna. So again, this is how I use the fibs. Either all the data, or it's up to you, whatever range you want to use to do your math, just doing math, or that body, and say, okay, from there, look, the 4236 is within the wick. So even if you got up to the 4236 using the body, then you're still, that's like an 8 or 9x. So I think it's a good risk reward in my book, for a trade. But if you look at Luna, this is what we were looking at yesterday, right? You're already above the 4236. Granted, this is the weekly, and there are some reasons to be more bullish on this. And there's nothing to say that it can't keep going, right? I mean, you got this RSI poke out. It's not like it's a higher high and RSI is doing a, it's like that.
Yeah.
That'd
be
like,
strong.
Guys, beware. It looks strong.
Yeah.
Let's go to the daily on it, man. So this has a really nice relative strength. This is just how I would do it. Just, okay, where are we in this channel? Got an obvious channel trend here. And then this last daily candle, yes, it did wick up to 98. But it's outside this range, right? Like maybe I'm cheating because I'm not including these wicks, but whatever. Okay, there. But look, like again on strength, it's not quite high yet. But I think we broke out of this room. Or we're very close.
Really close.
Yeah. So on the weekly, we kind of popped up. So it needs to keep going, but yeah, could it go? Yep. Good. But again, look at this. Go back to that and say, see, look, boom, first run. Watch this. So magical. Dip down, recovery, bulls take over in July. Boom, pop, 1618 golden zone. Couple wicks, held strong. A lot of times you see it fall back, right, to the one.
Strong.
Yeah, held very strong. Then it moved up in this upward trend. Had a little bit of a correction here, but went and rang the 4236, no problem. Before it had a little bit more of a correction, and now it's just going ape. But again, would I buy Luna here? No, I missed it. Like I just don't chase stuff that's high, right? I don't chase stuff that's way up there. So
this could definitely end up being a long monthly wick or something that and then it may close this month at the 4236 or just above. You see that a lot.
Well, let's just say Luna does go crazy, and from $88 or $90 or whatever it is right now, it's a 3.5x to the 25. So it's could it do that? Sure. Do I think there are better risk reward 3.5x potentials? Yeah, I do. That's why for me, agree. I'm just like missed it. Unfortunately, you missed buying it at $5. You missed buying it at below $10. I mean, I'd say even up here, like as you're strengthening or as you blow off and you just watch the strength. If the chart looks good to you and you want to take an entry, go for it. But when it's up in the 4s and as such on an extension, that's a little bit up there for me.
Agreed.
Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Okay, we're still like 130 points down, just chopping around for the day. Really want to see this. I really want to see the bulls just ignite it. I was thinking we were going to get like an igniting candle today, but we'll see. Day's not over yet.
Yeah, I really thought the candle yesterday was telling. I think to get up out of this channel and start moving in that 45 degrees, like we've talked about so much.
You see that all the time.
To get out of that trend.
Yeah, what was the recent chart that we were looking at that had that 45-degree pop? Oh, I think I sent it to you last night. It was
probably
so many charts.
There's so many. There's so many charts.
If you look at my photo app on my phone, is just like kids, Santa, chart, something cool, screenshot, just blowing up with charts. I have to go in there and clean it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
But hey, this is another thing I wanted to go over and cover, because somebody asked a very good question about the Aoshi trade system and looking at the 2017 bull run and what would it have shown and signaled on one of the bigger corrections. It did give a signal to get out. Would it have given you a signal to get back in?
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, cool.
So let's go back to, this is Bitfinex, will be fine. Let's go back to, this is daily. It's kind of like the core of the Aoshi trade time frame system. Well, let's look. I think it's right in either here or here. I think it's this one right here in September. So you had, let's see, classic, right? Higher high, slightly lower RSI. It is lower, but as you break trends, and you can draw it a couple of different ways, but as you break that, that's the signal, right? And the thing is, you came from the top side into below the 65, and you would have got that here too. That's why this thing, I mean, it's not the perfect signal. It is undefeated as a system, but a lot of times you do get these like, well, no, we're going back up. And so waiting for candles to resolve and close and being a little bit patient is the way. But like overall, like let's just say here, you had strong trend up, hadn't fallen through the trend yet. When this falls down, I'd probably be sitting here saying, okay, I am now waiting and expecting a very likely higher high with lower RSI. Because that's like what the whole system is built on, right? Like here, high, higher high before you start. And you're like, okay, I got the highest RSI here. Pretty much whatever. Here. Now, this correction now that pierced, like kind of broke. Now I am anticipating and ready for either a higher high or a relief run back up to here or something like that, right? So back to here, as you look through this, and in real time, it's, again, it's a pretty good system and signal, but it's not the end all be all of all. It doesn't show you 100% of what you need, but it's very, very close. And I haven't seen anything else that does better. But what you see here is, back to this, is the classic higher high with lower RSI. Then you get another drop and you break down this lower level. See how this is lower angle? Like the angle here is lower. The angle, this is your first angle, it's high. A lot of times as you start a trend, you'll like build angle, right? But as you slow down a trend, you start reducing angle. And when you start breaking these levels, it just shows weakness. And so when you break this level, then that's that. So the thing is, okay, boom. Aoshi system got me out right here. Now what do I do? Well, that's when you're like, okay, on this, let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. On this, see this RSI correction? In my book, that's a reset. So you got a flush. Okay, now you're like in real time, you're down here like, oh man, this is a big dip. But then it's a V bottom out. And what I'm looking for is some break in strength or some recovery. So you kind of broke back up on your RSI with your price. And then I'm looking for confirmation of strength. So as my RSI is now back up, then I'm looking for a continued strengthening of the RSI for me. And then I look at, it's kind of like the whole thing, but would you have, like you see this and you got, you can get back in. Let me clean this up a little bit, but I go back to one other thing is like our fib tool, right? And let's zoom in on this. So you've got kind of have to use multiple things, but when I see, okay, we're recovering, we're strong, we're strength. And when I see that this level, you came up, you bobbled back to the 618, then you broke. This is the first candle.
Yeah.
It's full body above it. That to me is okay. There is a likely chance, and it may be a good place to take a trade that you're going to continue. And it really depends on like your risk tolerance and that sort of thing. But again, you clear the 702 more often than not, this trend is likely to continue. And there's some other things that you'll need to look at. But again, you just want to go back and look through this time period because it happened so quickly. Like, okay, how would you have gotten back in? And there's a lot of things you can do. Like we're looking at right now on current price action, for the grand Bitcoin chart. Mm-hmm. When you come down and you break this back again, now I caught a couple wicks, but let's just go with this. Then you had an igniting candle here. This is interesting because we didn't just go straight to the moon, right? We came out, we went sideways for a brief period, and then we went up. We could very well see this here too in our current Bitcoin correction. Come out of this channel, like this is a lot less candles. But see how this kind of like, you could draw this as, whatever, this is green, but you kind of had this down to the right movement in a flag, sort of ignite out. And then you come back like, well, not really sure this is going to go up. And then you see strength rebuilding again and finally recovering. And the bulls took it again. So breaks in trend lines, strengths in RSI kind of give you that buy signal again. So it depends on your risk tolerance, but one idea would be, and this is after the fact, so it's easy to draw it after the fact. You can say, okay, I'll just sit and wait for a buy signal then. Well, after you get here, then you'll have this data point. Then you draw this and say, okay, now we broke that again. We came back and now here we go. It looks like we're trending again. And you can take an entry here, or something like somewhere in here where you have strength. Say, okay, I'm willing to at least take it up to the 702, right? So here to here. And then, if you're looking for breakdown, if you're looking for whatever, then you might decide I'm going to sit tight. I have, my mental stop loss for my market is here, or you exit and wait and get back in, above here when you say, okay, looks like we're going to go again. You get back in here. So I know that's a lot of words, and I know I went around and around, but I hope that kind of makes sense.
Definitely.
I think says cool.
I mean, the best part of to me, the best part of the system is it's a beautiful signal to either, hey, look, we're either gaining or losing relative strength here. And so based on what the price action is doing, let's start gathering as much data as we can to try to figure out where the trend is going. Right. Like, and you can be as aggressive as you want when you enter these trades, but I'm just looking at this chart and just my eyeballs are immediately going to the horizontal lines that could be drawn on here. And, right around the 618, 702, I see there's a lot of price action in there. So if you draw a horizontal line across there, yeah, like you see all of this action, like there's a battle going on there.
You've got like that, like that was that old point. And then like you've got another one in here. And look at that. Fell through, came up, touched, and then you got and then pop, and then actually come back floor, and then go. This to me, that 618 is interesting, but it's not a 618. Watch this. It doesn't become a 618 until you've actually painted this candle, right?
Yeah.
So that level is not the 618 until you've passed it and come back here and done your range. And then you look back and say, oh, that was a 618. And believe it or not, I'm going to do a little bit extra credit here on the fib, but I have seen people use this as a projection like this. Watch. Okay, you're here. Okay, guys, if this is the 618, I could see us going as low as, right? And then you do that, you stretch it out. And it's really uncommon. I've also seen a lot of people do fibs on RSI, which is cool, but whatever. Right, but you can use this as a projection tool. Say, okay, if this happens, if this is our 618, if this is our 0.5, then I think my downside target could be. And I've seen that quite a few times, but I like the art. I like just watching for, like weakness. You start breaking trends. That's a signal. I need to watch. I'm waiting for strength. And again, that's the thing. It's not going to say buy this dip. It's going to say wait for strength. Like we are calling for in the current price action. It's not like, guys, I called the very bottom. I called the very top. Nope. I'm trying to call strength. Like trends, who's in control. So you can trade with who's in control. Here, boom, we broke down. We're weaker. Okay, that's a signal. And then you don't get the next signal until, boom, you've got this breakout on RSI that it is a breakout if you drew it, whatever down here or something. But then you get another trend and you get another break. That's more confirmation. Higher low, higher low. Okay, I got multiple things telling me likely this trend at least continues up to at least here. And then you watch it and then you go.
Yep.
So a lot to say that's how I would have hopefully analyzed it in real time. But yeah, I hope that helps. Good to see you in here, Tommy.
Yeah, getting in or getting out at the top or the bottom of a price action is irrelevant to me if you're actually trading with the trend. If you can just figure that out and have confidence with that, you're gonna have a really nice career trading, right? But because trying to time the top or the bottom is, to me, it's a ridiculous strategy.
Right. And for me, it's like I can reduce my losses so much better if I just wait for what I believe is to be a trend to establish, and then I jump on the elevator and ride it until I get the signal that says it's done, and then I can get off, and then I wait for the next one, and then just over time, for the next umpteen years of my life, I hope to be doing this. Like, wait for a trend. Okay, we step on, we ride it, we take. Thank you, and then your portfolio and your skills and your whole trading career just kind of goes up and up and up.
Right.
You just eliminate the losses and not have to sit through massive corrections and such. So I think that was 2017. We looked at Bitcoin, Mana. Okay, so check this out. This was an interesting idea and brought up in the group, but it was this idea of like, so this market and whales and tactics and this whole game and how is it played and everything. And they got me thinking of a little bit broader idea, but the way that I've seen this, or the way that I see the market, but it's the concept that basically the market it's almost a game, but say the market's a casino. Right, Bravo, you with me?
With you.
So in this market, right? So let me back up real quick.
Yep.
First, I would say this, kind of like a big picture idea, but like you could not create a better way to take money from people than to create the cryptocurrency market. Make sense?
Totally agree.
So you've got all the games. Like think of I was thinking of like the Texas State Fair, right? Where you go there and you're like doing all this stuff and whatever, and then you're like, I just spent $200, right? You're like, yeah. But it's like, so you come into the space. It's not a lot of traders. It's a lot of people that are interested in like this new tech, or they want to get in because it's flashy and everybody's talking about it, or whatever. It's like you couldn't design it more perfectly, right? You have the traditional system hating on it. You've got Buffett calling it rat poison, CNBC dogging on it, or they're telling you to buy the top and sell the bottom on XRP like they did last cycle. Now I have those screenshots, right? So they're like, here's how to buy XRP at $3. Here's how to sell XRP at 50 cents or whatever. I'm like, golly, stop. But so you got like all these players in this call it like this grand casino. So you got like these conditions are ripe for people that don't really know what they're doing to come in and get fleeced. And man, we could take this so many different ways, but if you think about it, you're like, okay, then you get into, say you enter and now you're in the system. Well, it took you process and took you work to onboard, and maybe you had to fight your bank, and maybe you had to tell them that the wire transfer was just for some other wire transfer, or you had to work to get in here, right?
Sure.
And then once you're here, it's like walking into the casino, right? It's like, oh my gosh, there's backgammon, there's these Chinese games I don't even know about. Like, I don't know how to play that. I don't even know what those numbers are over there. And then you got the craps table, and then you got roulette, and you got blackjack, and the Wheel of Fortune slot machine, my personal favorite. And you're like, all these games, and you're like, whoa, okay, let's do this. And then, so in crypto, you have What do you have? Airdrops, ICOs, tech teams. You have all these NFTs, Shiboshis, right? Like all these games. Like you literally have all these games and these players, and you have, oh, this, like Charlie Lee or whatever, right? Like the Litecoin guy, or who is the EOS guy, right? Like Brock Pierce, or these other whatever, and like these big names and these whatever, and like it just, when you stop and think about it, like, wow. So like you have this market that moves it's very volatile. The other thing is that because it's not traditionally regulated and it's not the size of it, it's easily manipulated. Because, like, for example, like this, if I run an exchange, it's my job to make money as an exchange, a company. I'm BitMEX, whatever. Name your big exchange. So I'm looking at all the data, right? And I'm like, look at all these leveraged longs. That's interesting. Well, watch this. I can do the math, or I see like I have X many longs leveraged here. I see their stops are there. Okay. I'm either one exchange or a group of exchanges or whatever. But like, if it's an opportunity for me, then I can do two things. I take short, I sell a bunch of spot, I dump the price down, I nuke their longs, I get I get the trades because they get liquidated. And then I can buy the Bitcoin spot at the bottom. I can even go long at the bottom, and I can play the whole game again.
Man,
it's just like, if you're an exchange and you see that when the market's that out of balance and everybody's long and leveraged, then that's an opportunity for exchanges to do that. I think that, do I know that happens? No, I don't know. But like, it would make sense to me. And it was like, that would make sense as a business. You see an opportunity. And so that's why, again, is it like, but Bitcoin fundamentally or intrinsically has more value? Like, yeah, maybe. But like, there is a fundamental value proposition market in my mind, or how I think about it anyways. And then there's a trading market, right? So like, like, but Bitcoin is worth, the actual value of Bitcoin is $1 million. Well, maybe, but today it's traded at 48,958, right? Makes sense. So it's just like,
and you had an interesting point. You made an we were talking about this earlier. You made an interesting point that when you get into this market, like, it takes a little bit of work to get in, and you take your real dollars and you put them in. But then once you get your real dollars on board and in the market, it's in the form of a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or a Digibyte or a Solana or something like that. It's like a casino chip.
It is,
and it's
because
so
they converted
easy
the currency
to
on
move
you.
Those things around. Yeah, it's not actual dollars anymore.
So you're playing with Bellagio chips now.
That's it.
And you're like, well, here's, I'm at the $100 hand table, whatever. And you're like, okay, let's just whatever. And then you're like, oh, I guess I'm out or whatever. They changed the currency on you.
There are so many ways to get scalped in crypto. There's so many ways.
It's been like the Ethereum gas fees on Uniswap,
I'm telling you,
or these fees. Everybody's getting fees, and
yes.
And you're just like, okay, whatever. Like, it's worth it. Like, the price or the proposition of value is worth it to pay out these fees. So you do it. But yeah, there's like all these haircuts along the way, and then it's just, I don't know. Like, that's just the way I think about it. Because when that question was brought up about, whales and traders and such, it reminded me of what I think about the market in general, is that, like, to me, it's a massive game, and it's but it also is very tradable, and the returns can be phenomenal if you act accordingly, and you're prudent about the way you relate to the market, right? So if you approach this as, this is fun, this is an experience, I'm in it for the tech, like, that's one thing. But if you say, this is how I make my money, like, this is a market, I come to this market and I pull money from it. So think of it like the pro blackjack player, and there are professional blackjack players, right?
Sure. So
they go to the casino to make money. Like, to them, a trip to the casino is not bachelor party with your buddies, going and playing some cards. It's a job. And so they have to show up, and they do their job, and then they leave. But they're not there partying, and they're not there to have fun. I mean, like, they're there to do a job. And so that's just the thing. I think a lot of people that get into it, it's fun and it's exciting and it's SHIB and it's whatever. And it's, it's like, I want to buy some SHIB because it's fun. Like, totally go for it. You can do that. But what are you here to do? Like, is this your job? And I saw something on Twitter, man, and I'm just going to share it because it's really cool. I had never thought of this before. I don't know why, but this guy said, I made my hourly rate last for 2021 for trade. And this is a trader that's traded equities, but he said, my hourly rate for equities is $381 an hour.
Interesting.
All right. So for all the money that he's made trading divided by the number of hours he spends in front of the screen, it just got me thinking, like, what an awesome way to kind of measure it, right? Like, your time is valuable and you're trading and charting and making decisions with your capital. Like, but what better way to say, like, what's my yield, right? Like, how am I getting, or how am I making a return per hour spent in front of a screen? Per hour looking at a chart. What's my return? Am I making $0 an hour? Am I paying into the system? Am I a payer?
Yep.
Or am I making money? And do I pull money out of this market? And this market actually pays me, say it's $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, or whatever it is, right? For your time and your effort in being a participant in the market. Yep. So
yeah,
I don't know. I went off the deep end there on that idea about like the manipulators and the retail. I think it was, the retail and the big players. And I think all that in my mind is part of the big game where it's, it all happens because, and like, you see all the news and everybody gets scared, and then on Twitter, and it's just so noisy. And they're like, oh no, it's going to zero unless, I'm going to sell now because I'm scared. And then like, the whales are like, well, we're going to buy it here and then we're going to push it up. And then, but we need you guys to come buy it from us at the top. Right.
Yep.
Right. So that's to me what happens in the market. And it's a pretty free market, but you have to realize that in that free market, there are big players that can do big things and push it around and make you feel a certain way. And, and know that people without the proper training, the proper mindset, will do certain things at certain levels. They're like, hey, Elon, go do your thing on Doge. Go do your, whatever.
It's interesting. You asked me earlier too, like what, just sort of conceptually, how do you interact with the market? And, what is your role here? How are you interacting? What are you trying to do? And we can get into the broader picture of that, but not only is the market set up to take money from people who don't know what they're doing, it takes I would say a significant amount of time to even be able to hang around in the market, to interact with it, unless you just buy a position and hold it regardless of what the price is doing, okay, then so you're still in it. But if you're actually coming to the market to pull money out of it, you really need to have a set of skills, and you really need to understand sort of what your emotions are going to be like throughout these ups and downs, so that you can recognize, hey, look, this guy told me that I was going to be feeling terrible when the price was down, but don't sell it there. Okay, I got it. I feel terrible, but he said don't sell it. So if you're going to trust somebody, that's fine. But this market requires that you build skills if you want to hang around. I mean, from personal experience, this has been a solid full-time 8 or 9 months, at least full-time studying every day, almost pretty much every day for me.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time, and you've been in this market for years, but I think, this has nothing to do with me. It's just, you can see the progression of my skills by putting in a ton of time. And still, I would be barely comfortable at this point, just saying, forget everybody, I'm ready to take this challenge on myself. I still feel like I have a long way to go. And yet I've covered a lot of material in 8 months of full-time studying.
Yeah.
And so agree. Understanding where I've come from in a different life of competitive athletics, like there's a lot of carryover into building skills for a market. If you were a novice golfer, I come from golf, and you wanted to go play on a really hard golf course against a really good player, you would have no chance. So why would you think you could come to a market and play against an experienced, savvy investor and have any sort of chance? You have no chance unless you just get lucky.
Right. So you have to, so either build the skills or take what you get and you know, and that sort of thing. But that's, like I said, that's, you know, my choice is, look, this is, you know, the way I see the market under, especially with Jedioshi, is my job here is taking money from the market. This market pays me to live, and through my analysis, whatever else I can take or whatever else I can do. But like, when we get to these profit points, like that is my job, is to take it and then to, you know, study it and whatever else, daily signals or daily, you know, like daily market conditions. Like, I know what condition we're under, and that gives me an edge. And then the better I get and the more I can, you know, the more I can get out of it, then that's great. But yeah, I think that, like we were talking about this morning, was it's this whole notion of what's your relationship with the market, right? Like, how do you perceive the market? How does the market occur for you? So how the market occurs for you is exactly, or will be, those actions will basically be in a dance with how you act within the market. So back to the casino reference. If it's going to the bachelor party with your buds to Vegas and you're going to go to the casino and that's fun, that's one thing. But then the pro blackjack player that goes to the casino, it's completely different relationship, right? So not to say that like everybody's here like just trying to have fun, not ever, but like, how do I ask myself this? How does this market occur for you? How does trading occur for you? How does Shiba 8500 occur for you? Is it fun, or hey, oh, okay, ring the bell, my job, you know, take it, thank you. You know, how did, like, going for OMG at $20, like whatever, all these other things that run, and you're like, okay, got it, made a good entry, kind of expect, you know, I expected this to happen, it did, I'm going to take, thank you, and we'll play again. But yeah, how does the market, I think that's a great question that everybody should ask, is what's your relationship with the market? Right.
And I
just like you, and like we talked about, like golf, right? Like, what's your relationship with your game? You know?
Well, if you were going to, I used this example earlier, but never mind trying to be a professional golfer and actually earn money against other great players on difficult golf courses. But many people have experiences going to play golf just at a golf course, you know, regardless of who else is there. But how many times have you left a golf course and said, you know, that was ridiculous, that was so hard, the golf course kicked my butt today, the golf course was dictating terms to me, there was too much water, there was too much sand, the grass is too long, the trees are too tall, whatever it is, you just leave there and you had a terrible round and you're like, I had no control over that whatsoever. Well, that's, you know, that, welcome to the world of golf, competitive golf, where all of your time is spent building skills so that you can start to dictate terms to the course. That's the whole game. That's it. Can you control your ball? Can you control your emotions? Can you take opportunities when they present themselves, or do you avoid, you know, the major pitfalls? I mean, how much crossover is there to this market? It's everywhere. So it's everywhere. By learning these skills, like learning a fib, learning a trend line, learning a support line, all of this stuff, like if you don't have those skills, do not push money into this market. You really shouldn't. And that's, you know, I've learned that lesson the hard way myself. But yeah, no, I mean, the point is, at what point can you start to dictate terms back to the market? Like, the market is going to show you what it's doing with price. Okay, perfect. What tools do I have in my kit to now react to that?
Right.
And that's what you and I talk about every single day.
Right. And like right now, right, under the Jedioshi system, we see a topping point condition red in November. Okay, boom. Like, got it. Price signaled this in the system. Done. Now, depending on whatever, but like, let's just say you're fully out of the market and waiting, because as we play this without derivatives and leverage and whatever, we can't go both ways. So we have to go long only. So you have to, you know, basically tell the market has to tell you, hey, I'm going to go in a period of correction. I'm going to go into, you know, the bears are going to be in control for a while. So you wait for the market to show you through a system or a signal method or whatever you have. Say, okay, when I see this, I do that. When I see that, I do that. And that's when people are saying like, well, what would you do here and there? I'm like, my answer is always the same. I let the charts tell me what to do, and I let my system guide me. Right. So it's like, you know, when I see this and I see that, that's my signal. I take cover. Or when I see this, like the current price action, I'm waiting for bears or for bulls to be in control. I'm waiting for an RSI. We got the RSI break. We're seeing divergence. I'm waiting for price, and then it just lowers the risk. For me, okay, now I'm looking for, like, after that happens, I'll be looking for a trend, and then I'll be looking to ride that trend, and I'll be looking for relative strength in some of the altcoins and some good opportunities there too. But until that shows up for me, you just sit and watch, right? Like that's
okay.
It's okay. Like, not losing money is okay. You just wait.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Yes. I mean, I think we talked about this in the last live stream, but personally, I won't speak for you, but personally, I took a lot of my portfolio into USDC, and I've been sitting and just waiting. I just was completely uncomfortable with what I saw. The market wasn't giving me any sort of explanation of what direction it wanted to go. And so I'm very comfortable sitting here waiting and letting it tell me. I would love to see it do either. I would love to see it pop up to 55. I would love to see it crash down to 36. Either way is totally fine with me.
Yep. And then it's like, okay, and then say we do pop up. Okay, you wait, whatever. Like, if that's your go signal, then go. And if not, then you wait for a go signal and say we do. Let's just say this is it, right? Let's just pretend. Let's just kind of play a scenario out in real time. Let's just say this is kind of what we're going to get. And we're going to get the 702 kickback. And yeah, let's just say it does do one. I mean, there's nothing to say this is exactly how it's going to play out. This is just a possibility, right? Of the million possibilities. What if we just go straight up? What if we go straight down? I don't know. But it doesn't matter because, like, I wait for the chart to tell me what to do. So here, what did the chart tell me to do here in the system? It should be drawn closer. I can't get it. There we go. But, like, right there, you break lower RSI. Like, this is flashing red. Like, we're going to go in a correction mode. Okay. Like, you can ride it out, or you can choose to be on the sidelines. Wait, it's up to you. But that's what the charts are telling you to do, or the charts are signaling you to, that this is the condition of the market. And when it's the daily, that's why it's beautiful. The 1 hour, 5 minutes, forget about it. But, like, you get to the hour, the 4 hour, and the daily, then you're like, okay, now I can see these trends and these, these cycles and whatever. But let's just play this out. Okay, this happens. I mean, whatever.
Clean that thing up, will you?
Yeah, I know, right? Let's just say this does play out and we do get a break.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better about it now than I did yesterday or the day before. When we were down in here, I was like, wait, I need to see some bullishness. We're getting a little bit of this, but I need, like, that's the first thing you normally see. But I really need to see, this. And then I saw, boom, we got that yesterday. Okay. All right, here we go. Then I kind of checked the box for the bulls to be able to, if they want to take it, they can take it. And the RSI came up around 50. And so here we are. I'm like, okay, it's looking better for the bulls. But again, until, like, I can't call the market condition green until I have my system that I've developed and that I lean on says, until you get this and that together and probably a full body candle outside, I'm not ready to call it green.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have to wait. And granted, we saw some opportunities in, yesterday in SHIB and CRV, but really it's like, you just have to sit and wait, and it sucks because you get these big days too. Right. And you're like, it's going to the moon, and it's like, you're getting like these mass, like, all throughout this chop, we showed this before, but all throughout this chop, you were getting these runs, these retraces on the hour. Let's look at the hourly, right? And every single time it was like this. Every single time. Remember, this is our last live stream right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was like, here we go. No way. And then you're like, okay, we're climbing. Sold off. And you get these kind of these bullish candles that, that take 1 or 2 or 3 hours. And it's just like, pow, pow, pow. And you're like, I think this is it. And so here we go. This was a couple nights ago. Remember this being like midnight or whatever. But yeah, 10 o'clock at night, pom, pom. And then, like, we pushed out, and now we're ranging sideways RSI is dropping, but it's not. I mean, that's not the end of the world necessarily. But like we're going sideways. RSI is dropping, but I think we're getting so close to that downline on the bigger structure, whether it's here or here, whatever.
Yeah.
We're out of the flag, a little bit, or however you want to draw it. We're still trying to decide, okay, are the bulls going to run or are they too weak? And until we kind of, interesting. I like to look at the zoom in, but, are we starting to see, could this thing swing around? So we'll see. But
yeah, and I think there's also a some pretty decent support resistance lines in there too that this thing is hovering around. And it's encouraging that it's holding a line right now. That was previously resistance for sure. I think that's important.
Yeah, and that 50 MA thing, right? Like, look at 50, this.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Well, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the weekly RSI right now. You said 50, but I'm looking at, and it's turned around and it's heading back to 50. At least it looks. I mean, hopefully,
like that was a little bit like until we got some strength. It's like, oh man, we crashed below 50, and that doesn't bode well. Like you've got that. But
if you look all back, these other times, you can see that it wants to, there are periods of time where it wants to turn around and cross back over the 50, but it can't make it. But what happens to price when it does that? Well, you could easily get a bump to 55, 56, 57. Easy. You get the RSI going back over 50 on a weekly, and you're going to get at least some decent price action.
Yeah, I agree. So let's just like let's go to the daily. I just want to point out the weekly MA, right? Like we've recovered it. This is Sunday night or whatever. We did close the candle and it was like, oh boy, but here we are. And so while we haven't ignited yet, but it's better that we're above it than below it, I'll say. And the weekly RSI is curling up. So you're seeing that, okay, there are some bulls around and they do want to save this for what it is. We did clear that daily flag range on the top side, which was good for a potential reversal. So can they fully take control? That's just what we're waiting for. Yep. But like if you look at the daily, I'm just checking out the comments if anybody wants to chime in, ask questions or whatever, anything. But so yeah, our scenarios, right? I would say I want to get this MA off there, but so our three scenarios are, let's say like we still come up, we come out, and we 702. And we do create a larger that. Okay, let's just call that A.
Yep.
Whether or not this is correct, we don't know. This is our trade scenarios, our ideas. We had a different scenario where's 36? Is that this level? I think it was the top of this. Let me just draw that. It'll be sloppy. Okay, B would be something like can't make it, shoot down, lower low on, lower low to here. Maybe it doesn't go that deep, but maybe it's down to 40 right there, or maybe lower somewhere in there, and then V bottom out and do one of these. Okay, let's just say that's B. I don't remember what C was, but there is a case where let's just say this. Let's do C as we come out. We do one of these, we hold and we go up. Okay. So, yeah, sure. Anything can happen, right? And then what? D is death. Like D is just that.
Yeah, I think also though, if you're saying those A and B,
and I drew this high. Yeah. But we're looking at like this somewhere in this range, right?
It just all depends, man. Yeah. I think if you're saying A or B is going back to the 702 and then we go off, then that would signify to me that there was, whatever alt season we get in that time, great. I also think there's maybe a scenario E, which we've been talking about, that we shoot up in this channel and it only goes back. Like if you put a fib on
I should have had a fib on there because all these chalk lines are way too high.
Yeah. So right. Maybe we just get, maybe this little pump that we get here goes up to like the 0.5, which would be about 55K. And then it goes down and you experience a lower low, a 38 or 40
so
or something like that.
There is a possibility
then we get 702.
That you're either 0.5 or let's call it 618.
Yep.
Right. And then where do you come down to here? And then there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then 702.
Of that. So that would be
like that. You're about there.
Yeah. So like then we get that and then that some other whatever, right? So that all that's possible. But then again, I think that, when we talk about this, when we do, is that this area, assuming this is a breakout, we get strength, bulls take control up to here, that's tradable. Watch your charts, right? Start seeing breakdowns or up to whatever here. Watch your charts for breakdowns, watch them to signal which way we might be going. Alts are probably do their own thing, so they have their own charts to watch. Then if we break down, this is not where I want to be long. I don't want exposure here to something like this. But I think I do here, right? If that plays like that, then I want exposure here because I think this will be really good. This will be good. I think that'll be good, but then that'll be really good. But then is that,
I think that second run there could be where we actually see a real decoupling of the two markets. I mean, this is where you get like crazy alt action. Yeah.
So we'll see. But
we'll trade what comes our way.
That's the thing, man. It doesn't, like all these scenarios are fun to speculate about, but it doesn't really matter because as long as the charts are your guide, then they say, when I see this, I do that. If I see strength, I want to ride it. If I see a trend, strength and continue, I will ride. If it breaks down and goes negative on me, I will get off. Right? So if I see trend and everything's great, and I break, that's my first yellow warning. And then higher high, lower RSI, that whole thing, right? Or high, RSI down here is like, and then I'm like, okay, I broke that now. I'm out. I would be shocked if we don't see this. Like this is this, can't do it. Oh, we're coming down. And it's like, don't ride that. Right. Wait until you see strength. So just don't play. The dealer's getting face cards and face cards.
Yeah. Don't play. This is the way you can dictate a little bit to the market too, and not have to just sit back and just take whatever it has to give you. Because guess what? This market moves in two directions all the time. And quite frankly, it moves in the red direction more often than it does in the green. So you really
let's look at that. That's a great point. And we have, I don't know if we need to take up the whole 2 hours, man, but we can. But this is, I told you, I think I sent this to you, but yeah. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Thanks for joining, man. Check it out. Shib. Look at the number of days up on this impulse, right? Okay, so I was looking at this morning. Okay, that's moving up, but like you broke. Okay, you broke this level. 1, 2, 3 days. Okay, 4, fine, whatever. 3 days. Look at this. You break out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, man. That's it. That's why it caught everybody off guard. 3 days. And then you got lucky because you went sideways up top. You didn't come back here, right? 3 days, you're okay. Oh, I didn't do anything. It's just fun. I spent the time buying SHIB gear on Amazon. I did. And then you get lucky because you range sideways and you don't actually retrace that much, or you don't fall back that much. And then pow, another explosion. And then it's just like, oh my gosh, 5 days of wow. And then the time, that's what I was going to show. Like my point was, so let's look at this, man, real quick. If that's 5 days, 5 of how many have we had so far? 60? 5 of 60 is that 12%? 5 into 60? Yeah. 12% of the time. 1 in 8. 1 in 8 days are you mooning. And 7 days out of 8. You're
it can get a lot worse than that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, like like praying out here.
Yeah.
Right. But like my point was like when you impulse and it goes fast, is it gonna happen again? I hope so. Man, I hope we roll hard from here for 5 days because I'm ready this time, dude. Man, again, we can't do a live stream without me going through my memory lane here on SHIB, but let's look at it. Because this is what I'll be looking for, right?
This is true.
So you're not getting me again, SHIB. I promise. Get you. All right. And by the way, there's got to be a way in TradingView to figure that out. But okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you do? SHIB pumps, and you have 5 days to make your call, and all your friends and family are asking you how to buy it at the top again. What do you do? Okay, let's just pretend you held it here, right? This is all part of the 5-day period. And you're up, and it's just ramping hard. And you're like, well, I came in on the 4 hour, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I kind of see 5, whatever, but I'm not an Elliott wave guy. But I do see these massive trends. All right, what do you see? Let's draw some lines. Okay. I'm going to give it to you, man. Let's just say that's all included. Okay. Because I remember drawing this. Look, see how far away you got from the line? And there is a theory about distance away from MAs and stuff like that. I don't trade on that, but I wait for breaks. So this pullback, you're like, okay, is it just refueling for another pump up? Well, it's a 4 hour, so you have plenty of time. I mean, it's not like I'm not staring at the charts all day long every day. So like, you come in here and okay. Oh, that's interesting. I couldn't draw it perfectly, but do that. Okay, from the top down to the bottom. Now I'm like, okay, I'm looking for a 702 break. Didn't get it. Didn't get my 702 break. Broke a line. And how'd that look? Well, let's check it out. On this break at this line right here. Because that, like, are you with me, man? Like, this would be a good line to draw. Like, you're okay. I'm going to honor this line. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, it's a trend line. It's cool. It's 4 hours. Good data. I break the line. Where am I down here in strength? Uh-oh. Well, that was a high. That was a much higher high on slightly lower, but not great RSI, like a pretty high RSI. Up at the 94. You're cooked, by the way. So you see all that? Yes, we were cooked. Could we keep going? Sure, of course you can. But then again, you fall back here, and the key for me was this. I missed this. You break on what? Lower. Could you go sideways for a while? Yeah, you could. Could you do this and then go up? Sure, of course. But why not take your win, man? And you like accumulated down, like way down here. Accumulated, build and pack, build in position, and then you get this. A 10x, you don't take it, it's your problem. It's like your fault for not taking that gift. Does it make sense?
That's a gift.
That's how I see it. I mean, like, next time I'm ready, dude. This thing, you want to put a fractal on that thing or what?
Go for it.
You think we're gonna get another one of these? I don't know. Let's get fun.
I think you might see another like wave one.
I don't know if it's gonna go like.
I'm seeing a pretty obvious 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right, like I'm at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's call that. Maybe I don't know, whatever. But let's just do. I'm gonna do a couple things. This to me is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, the grand cycle. Look at that goal. Mm-hmm. And remember back here, you're doing all that work. You also took the time to do a grand fib, and you hit the golden sun. Yeah. Right, my old famous golden sun. Oh, okay. But let's not sell. Okay, great. Good job. But let's just. I love beating myself up over this one. Because this is when I decided to like, it's all the change now. It's all changing now.
Yep.
I mean, let's just see, like, maybe we get something like that. I don't know. It's anybody's guess, right? But like, also, I do this. From this point to here. Now I want to know. And let me just nuke this out real quick. But look, there's go. Interesting. I don't know if that means anything to me. But wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, that would make sense, right? I could see that. I could see it golden zone, fall back, final push.
Yeah, I think the great, like if you just throw
I'm already looking up here for other things, but yeah, what you got, man?
If you just throw a fib on it from the start, just from the start of the cycle way back, and let's just look at the totality of the data, all the way from the start, from the old all-time high. Yeah.
Yep.
And then get rid of that.
I'm gonna leave it over. Okay.
Because that's noisy.
This guy right here. 4236 is up here at 18,000. See, because
Yeah.
I'm looking,
So, I mean,
I'm looking at numbers up to 20,000 too. You know,
right.
like
So
we might pump
to
and
me,
get
that
up to here.
15, like I've got a SHIB chart. What do I have over here? Yeah.
But you know what, man? This is all fun and great to paint like potential on the chart. But guess what? It's in the chart. The chart tells you what to do. Yeah. Right? Again, we just go back to what we just did on the 4 hour. You have a breakdown on lower RSI. You broke that. You break this. Break that. All these rules that you have, you're taking action. Like no matter where I am, if I'm up here, whatever, and I don't ever break trend, I'm riding, right? I ride until it tells me to get off, right? Yeah. So if it's like this and we're just going to the moon, I'm going to the moon. But as soon as we break,
absolutely,
and then do one of these, and we break that out, or I can get off here. If it's way up there, it's just a great ride. I'm like, I'm good. I mean, I don't know what it might, whatever. I'll watch. I'm taking it. My job. It's my job, full-time job, right?
Totally.
I mean, this is how your job is to extract value from the market. So that's that. Well, guys, if you're still with us, any questions on the chat or want us to look at stuff? Let's see. Let's scroll around the watch list. What's happening this week? If you guys also look at stuff like the Crypto Bubbles website, I was looking at the weekly. It's pretty interesting. Kind of gives you a look at the strength of the coins that have run. KDA was in there. I think even Hex was in there. Because you get a good view on like a 7 day. I think they do 7 day. I'm not sure exactly how they calculate their week, but if it is 7 day, then it gives you a good read on the market, what's strong and moving and what's not. This was something, Bravo, that came up in the chat last night, I believe. I was like, yeah, looks strong, because what was happening, this is FTM on the 4 hour. I have no idea what FTM is, but it's a strong chart. And coming off the bottom here, so we had the same. This is an interesting thing. Oh, and then I want to show one more thing that I shared, but I want to show it here on the live stream. Kind of the same pattern, if you will, like sell off. We go into a channel, chop, 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 break. Yep. What I liked about the chart was it was actually back here, and it was on the daily. So let's look at that. So what I saw was the relative strength. It was actually when we started to break levels right in here. Like that looks pretty good. It looks like a good recovery. And then since then we had a nice follow through. Matic. Yeah, it did. Matic, I think, let's look at that. So that's FTM. When I saw that relative strength, I like it, but are we up? Like, do I have any FTM?
This chart is in rarefied air though, man.
16 cents to 350. Wow. I just wish I would have bought some back here, and rode it and got to ride this, but whatever. Matic is doing well. It's a strong coin. Strong. Look at this. I'm just going to switch it over to weekly. Yeah, Matic did hold up really well. Look at this. 19 cents back in May for 3 cents to 260. That's a great run. But look at this. Look at this chart. So this is again the weekly, and we zoom in this area here. Look at that relative strength. Yeah, Chris said it right. I mean, like this is like, look at this relative strength here. And then you do have maybe something like this, kind of a break. Maybe I'd see that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
a range, right?
Yeah,
it's a range.
And this is it's weekly. Yeah, like it's not too off. But if I wanted to be, a stickler for tops or whatever, then I could say like there to there. It's a little more. It's 1 degree, whatever. Like, but yeah, that to me is a continuation pattern, and you go up. Where can Matic go though? Let's check it out. This is just how I do it, but okay. And I don't know if there's a better than Binance chart because I don't have much data, but I mean, even on multiples from 4/10 of a cent. Holy cow. Golly, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it was a monster.
0.4 of a cent. Wow. 691x.
So that gives me a little bit of
great.
pause if I want to trade it. If I was going to trade Matic right now, I'd be trading it.
I'd be looking at, okay, like if it's for a good trade, let's go to the daily, right? For a good trade, if I'm finding trends and riding trends, boom, I popped here. It looks like if I was watching, could I have tried to take this or watch this? Would I have been waiting for, I don't know, let's cancel that, a retest of this line? It's a little bit sloppy, but let's do that. This is daily, so it works. But something like that, I'm like, boom, line's holding. I'd love to, boom, I missed it, but I'd love to get in a $1.85, and that's a decent gain as a trader, right? Like, I'm not, maybe I'm not looking for X, but I'm looking for good assets to position that are going somewhere. Then yeah, like off this line, that's 45%. And where does it go? I mean, it'll run. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's 690x up from the bottom, so doesn't mean it has to stop though. I mean, we talk about that. However, when I'm trading, I do like to look for things that are less atmospheric, right? But the other one I want to show,
when you're super high like that, it's just really hard to tell when the rug's going to get totally pulled on you, right? I mean, like there's less. I feel like there's less time to prepare for that when you just hit the ultimate top, then you're just gone.
Right? Like how much am I there? There,
just falls off the ledge,
right? There, where am I? What if we just come up to here and we get like X done? Or
also when you buy something that's like, when you buy something that's already been meteoric, your expectation when you get into the trade is, hey, look, I'm here to make a lot of money. This thing is going to the moon, but it's already on the moon, right? So you're less apt to get out of this trade if it starts to lose, because you're here to make money, or theoretically that's what you think, or even better, it probably is, you're here to watch this go to like crazy heights, because most people aren't really here to make money. If they were, they wouldn't be picking this probably as a trade, and would be more apt to like cut it right away if it wasn't performing.
If I was holding, I'd be enjoying it and watching for a breakdown. But do I get in up here? I don't. It's just not the way I play.
Yeah.
But again, like you come back here and I look for, the charts to give me signals on when to do what. And I'm whatever, it's really RSI, but you do this and you're like, okay, we broke this level. Like if I'm watching this asset, then that's significant for me. That's a significant, point here in it's January this year. Let's look at July. What happened? That's it. This is interesting. So like, okay, now we broke that. And then look, once you finally broke above, this is daily. Once you finally got on the other side of this line, then the bulls took over. And granted, it wasn't just straight up to the moon. It was up into the right trend. A couple pullbacks, but you're moving up again.
Yeah.
Or, any of these. That's just, my way is not, like, I trade, or I like to trade strength. I look for who's in control and I trade strength. So that means I don't try to pluck bottoms and necessarily pluck tops. I'm a trend trader, or a momentum, I guess you could call it momentum trader. Like I try to find the momentum and then jump in it's like jumping in the stream. Once I identify the current direction, I can jump in and swim with it for a while, and until it changes, then I get out. It's the way that I play. So it's not, for me, it's not picking up Matic at 1.12 cents down here. I wait for this. Then I say, okay, are we going to play? I like that entry. And then we rock. What was the one? Oh, let me show you. This is what I was thinking about. But yeah, good call on Matic. That did hold up really good. We could do a comparison overlaid on Bitcoin, but it's really strong.
And to be fair, like I am all about trading with strength and with the trend. I just wouldn't expect to see something like Matic just go on some ripping run.
Yeah, it could.
Very well could. Who knows? It very well could, but like, yeah, it's up in rarefied air. It's already
it is. It's high.
60 some thousand
600
percent or something.
690x. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was what I liked. And I shared this, but I was like, guys, look at XRP. Because, and granted, we need the king to do what the king needs to do. But this for me was a nice signal on, like I said, wait for it, wait for it, go. And what it is this. I sent this to you, I think Sunday or something. I was like, dude, is this a fractal for Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Look.
Right.
Look, it is. Look at the second day.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that, man. Yeah. If we get that
just like a little
next 2 days.
Sidebar.
Yeah, just sort of like a little, we're not really sure what's going to happen, and then pow. Right? So watch this, man. This is a how I drew it. Maybe I included that wick. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Let's just include it. If I take this data, this flag, it's a lot, not as clean, but if I use bodies, it's fine. So this and this, right? Same thing. Bitcoin, dump. Flag, breaks it, and then here we go. And see that break. So let's just, it's not exactly the same. I get it. But I believe you could argue that this is we got outside of it with this candle. And then we had a small, call it inside bar, whatever, but a smallish, not igniter, and then ignite.
Yeah.
So that to me shows relative strength. And this looked almost identical, dude. Look. We broke out. Look at this. What do you get? Break, retest. Then you trend up. And that's exactly what Bitcoin looks right now. Bitcoin looks like it's about right here on the daily. Trying to break 45 on this candle. So that's why I'm like, is XRP our fractal? Are we going to see Bitcoin do this and this the next 2 days? I thought that was really fascinating. I guess when you
can't argue that it doesn't look very, very similar.
Mm-hmm. They are in different places in their they're different places in their structure and in their cycle. If we go to we know where XRP is. I do like this as a trade. Why? Because it's there's a high. It's like $3. That's like CNBC was telling you how to buy it, right? Mm-hmm. But let's look at like that. We're still at like the 236, man.
Yep.
And granted, you could say like, well, from down here, 2017 at 0.3 cents, whatever. But like that, I like that because that gives me just to the old high. Where'd it go? What's bars? That is, so what is it to the old all-time high? 2.4x, 2.5x to the old high. To the golden zone, 5.5x. To the 4236, 13x. That's a lot of x, but that's to $13. Which, where have we heard $13 before, right? That's why, 4236.
Yep.
That's what people would say. It's like maybe $13 when we're $10. 3272. Okay. So up here somewhere, maybe. All right, maybe whatever it does, say we do get a break and it breaks out. Maybe it goes golden zone, pulls back one, pow, done. I don't know. Maybe, right?
Let me can I show the screen real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I've just got a couple things on XRP since we're talking about it.
Are you sharing right now?
Yeah. Got it?
Yep, got it.
So just on the weekly, there's like 3 things that I'm looking at here. We've got some really strong indications here. We've got a break of this trend line, and I don't have my RSI up, but like you can see there's a break of the trend here coming back up to the 50. But look, you can't make this stuff up. Look at where our XRP is stalled. You could call this a very nice weekly support, and here it was
and
1,
it was a
2,
ceiling.
3, 4 weeks of resistance right here, right? And so we broke down again.
That pivot is definitely something.
So this to me is like, what is Bitcoin doing right now? And Rambo, I've seen this particular setup on, I don't know, at least 10 or 15 other alts where they break out of a downtrend and now they're coming up and sitting on old pivot points, like big ones,
Mhm.
weekly and monthly. Just
Yep.
I think it's just like what's Bitcoin going to do? Because if we can get, you see, like this is how I would track this for sure, and this is how I am tracking it. But I'm just going to put a line here, and if I get a break above this, and probably maybe like something like you get a break above, and dang, and then depending on what Bitcoin's
Straight
doing,
up.
that's what you might be able to see, right? And then you get up into these areas, and this is where the next spot I'll be looking at. Like, can we get above that? And then you might have a little bit of a party, right? Like while Bitcoin is kind of moving off into its channel and maybe hitting up to the 55, 58 area, I do think you're going to see something like this, where you have, we talked about it, where you have anywhere between maybe 50 and 200% of gain in the alts. And maybe Bitcoin tanks at that point. And we do some of the scenarios we talked about earlier, and you lose a lot of this value. But to your point specifically, this time period should be traded.
Right.
And why wouldn't you trade this? Like, you're getting the signals. You've broken the trend. The RSI has broken its trend. If we break over this very significant resistance, that it's been resistance and it was support. So if we can gain that back again, I think you're at least going to be able to trade this channel.
Yeah,
like back up to the old all-time high, and maybe we stall out somewhere in here. It would be something to watch.
So back to that old high is like 50-60%. So let's call it like a 50% gain, which is a nice gain. But then like you have airspace, you have clear air above you.
Yeah. So like let's just say,
so that's
like
as a 3x old high.
And as a trader, right, you'd want to trade something where you could get, okay, we can pick up 38% here, at least to this old position of resistance, right? And so if we bust through that, now we're looking at a 60-65% trade. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
It's pretty good. It's not bad. I mean, in crypto, it's not bad. I mean, in a normal scenario, it's pretty good.
But like depends. Like if you, exactly.
But if we get up into this rare air, like while Bitcoin's kind of doing its thing, and you can get up here to the 250 to 285 area, you've got a nice 2x.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To the old high.
All right.
It's a nice 2x.
Coming back to you.
It's great.
There you go.
That's it, man. I don't know what else to really cover. We did cover some mindset stuff, and we covered market theory kind of as a game. Just think about that though, guys, when you're thinking through, like how do you think about the market, and how does it, like how do you live with, or how do you think about the market? How does it occur for you? See, not a whole lot of activity here today. This afternoon. We'll see. I don't know what equities are doing at the moment, but not that it always matters. I always like equities are doing this. Like, are you trading equities? Not yet. But okay, that's XRP in the hourly. This is my Bitfinex. Let's check this out. Let me show you guys on lower time frames. Like my low time frame that I talk about is usually 1 hour. I'll degen and go start the 5-minute chart sometimes for like, I want to see what the micro action is in here. But I really like, because I like 1 hour because I can still see structure, and I get to see, relative price action in here too. So, but look at this last hour from 1 to 2. That's decent. Remember how we looked at the that thinking it might curl over? I think we're starting to see it. So let's just top it there now that we have the data set, and like we've come above it. So low time frame, it's not bad. Like if we can regain this, if we can turn like that, to me, if you can turn at 40 on your RSI, like you didn't have to come in and be oversold, right? Like when you make a turn, and a lot of, that's what I study a lot of actually, is like, when do markets turn? Like, is it at the ends? Or sometimes you get these intra RSI moves where you don't have to quite go down to oversold. You actually, like this one, you're just down to the 40 and then you move back up. Now, I'm speculating a lot because of one little teeny wick in a green candle, right? This thing could just as easily do one of these and come down, right? And do that. Or it could, range like this and go up. My whole point is that this doesn't look that bad to me right now. We came down here, we did this, we popped up a little bit of here. It doesn't look that bad. I really would not be surprised to see the bulls try to take this level out and then make another move. And if XRP is our fractal, maybe today's candle is like that, whatever. tomorrow's candle is a mega green. You know, could be, or a lot of other things can happen. But I think the XRP chart, when I saw it, I'm like, that looks exact. That's like 2 days ahead. Very interesting to me.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, on the lower time frames, like the 1 hour, this is what I do when I just whatever charting. I'm like, what's the trend? What's my RSI doing? Am I oversold, overbought? Did I break trend? Am I on the downside? Like right here, a break, whatever. And like all day today was, hey, we're below this, and we just now came above it. So, we'll see. But it is nice to see that a couple hours of. We're holding green, holding 49. There was a horizontal level that you pointed out was like 49.4, right? 49.4. Was it this guy right here? I think it was this guy, this whole high.
That could have been, and I can't remember what time frame. 49.4 might have been significant on multiple, but maybe daily or even weekly almost. But yeah, it was 49.4 was a big one for me.
Yep. Right on. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I think this is probably about it. And thanks for joining the live stream. If you wouldn't mind, like, share, subscribe, and share this video. We're trying to help as many people as we can learn to read a chart and learn to figure things out, and for their own sake and for their own development, and become Jedi traders. So that's what we're all about. But again, Bravo, thanks for being with me today, and thanks for tuning in. And we are going to sign out and have a very Merry Christmas. And until next time, guys. We'll see you. I don't know.